knows that? Guys, let's talk about the story that you're telling here. It's a fascinating story. It's set in the near future. It's sci-fi in a, dystopian world, but it's not a super depressing, dark story. You guys are looking for a bit of a different message, right?
Yeah, so our goal with this was to start where most dystopian sci-fi leaves off, which is, all right, the world is bad, but instead of technology being the problem in our world, technology, we hope, is going to be the solution. So Steve and I are just inherently techno optimists. That's what we bonded over in the beginning. And so we think this is going to be a pretty surprising story for you guys to follow as it arcs out, and we use technology as the solution.
Neon Future is also the name of the first 2 concept albums you did. So this is obviously something that's been a baby of yours, something you've been involved with for a long time. Talk about moving the concept from music to comics.
So yeah, Neon Future is been my musical concept as far as what most people know, because I've done 2 albums so far, and actually in the fashion scope of things, my collection is called Neon Futura. So we're like, my whole world in my head is basically Neon Future. I've tattooed my arm Neon Future 3 years ago. This concept is very real to me. It's not just like, oh yeah, let's throw this together. This is definitely a concept that I truly believe in, the idea of convergence of technology and humanity, and where we can go in the future. And this comic really tells a very dramatic, very sci-fi style story, where technology is we want technology to win, and it's a incredible story where Jim Krueger really put that touch, the human touch to all the different personalities and different characters in the story, which for me is really the most touching part of like this techno saga that we're telling.
Jim, obviously comic fans know your work for years and years. This creative process was much different than, say, when you and Alex Ross were doing Justice, right?
Right. When Alex and I were doing Justice, he would call me at midnight, and then he would work through the night, and I'd be wandering New York City, talking to him on the phone, and we'd be coming up with ideas. This process is like nothing that's ever been done in comics before, because we're doing it like a writer's room. So it's Tom, it's myself, it's Dana Brar, it's
Sam
Leventius, and we are looking at every single panel, every single line, putting all our minds to it, and it's like the results are unbelievable, like they're really special.
The artwork that we saw in the trailer shows some really compelling sci-fi imagery. What were some of the influences that you guys had in the back of your head as you guys were crafting the story that maybe helped inform the Neon Future storyline?
So we are all huge fans of comics. We're huge fans of what's happening in sci-fi film, TV shows, and there's so much great work coming out right now. And one of the influences was one of the guys that we actually got on the book, a guy named Jeremy Rapak, which I hope you guys know who he is, and Neil Edwards, same. They just have an amazing ability to bring out detail, and what we wanted was a detail in the world. So we want the world to be recognizable. We actually want you guys to be a little freaked out with how recognizable the world is for how it's moved in a direction that is very unsettling. So getting the detail right, having backgrounds, and Jim's talking about doing this as a very collaborative process, and it's allowed us, by having 2 artists on the book, it's allowed us to put a lot more time and attention into every panel. And so we're really, really excited about just the depth and level of clarity. It's well defined.
Steve, one of my favorite terms used to describe you is that you're a techno optimist. Tell the audience what a techno optimist is.
Well, I mean, it's kind of exactly what it's all about. Technology in an optimistic view, using technology to really enhance our limitless potentials. And it's opposite of what Elon Musk is saying, where technology will, devour us. But I think it's important to heed the warnings of where AI can go, but also take that AI and use it to the most, the abilities that can really bring us to the next evolutionary landscape of where we are going as a human civilization. And I mean, obviously we're here, we love comics, we love imagination, the idea of, you know, living forever, the idea of telekinesis, the idea of all these different things can happen if we use technology in a way for the positive growth of our future, or positive growth of our civilization. So, and it's happening. You know, that's what's so exciting. There's a lot of science fiction becoming science fact. And that's what's really exciting, and it's also very exciting to tell these stories this way, too.
Speaking of living forever, do you still plan on having yourself cryogenically frozen?
I'm already signed up. I'm already signed up.
That's my
insurance policy. If we, because I really believe that this is the generation, this generation right now, we're at a critical precipice where either we will be the last generation of people to die, or the first generation of people to live forever. So that's like, we're at the scientific brink where if we get there fast enough, we will be the first generation to potentially live forever.
Yeah, that was where the story was born. So when I first heard that he wanted to be cryogenically frozen, I was like, all right, that's my kind of dude, right? So, okay, maybe I don't quite make it to the singularity in my lifetime, but hey, throw me on some ice and then bring me back. And I thought, what if we really could do that? What if we could cheat death? And what if somebody with his heart and like compassion was the one that was in control of that? Like, what would that look like? And what would it look like if you were woken up in a pretty shitty time? And like, would you try to do something to pull it back from the brink? And so that was the genesis of the story, was that. A guy comes back to life in a time that's suboptimal, and now he's gonna have to decide what side he fights for.
Jim, sci-fi is hugely popular on television and film as a genre, but in comics, not so much. And for a long time, it's kind of struggled to find its place among successful comics. Why did you like the challenge of taking on this original sci-fi story, as opposed to playing it safe and doing what you can do so well, which is superheroes?
Well, you know, I don't even consider myself a superhero writer. I consider myself like an adventure writer. And so it's applying, it's just almost playing with a different toolbox, you know, and yet this is the kind of book that if anyone loves superheroes, they're going to love this, because it's dealing with people with augmented abilities too, but it's doing it in such a way that like the goal was to make it as human and as clear as possible. And just like talking about techno optimism, it's like the things that make us most human are either hope versus fear. And that's really the battle you're gonna find in here. You're gonna find some people who are gonna go forward and hope for the future, while others try to pull back in fear of that very future. And it's like, which side do you even wanna be on?
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. The creative team behind Neon Future.
And hey, Steve is going to be signing at booth 236, so come to booth 236, meet him. And also we have a variant cover by the legend Kim Jung-gi. He's also going to be signing at 1 p.m., so come by, meet those guys. Thank you so much, booth 236.
Hashtag NYCC. And up next, we've got the cast of Voltron here on the live stage.
I'm Jackie Jennings with SYFY WIRE. If you can't get enough of New York Comic Con, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel for news, interviews, cosplay, and so much more. What are you waiting for?